When I first moved into the old house on Millbrook Lane, I thought I was making the smartest decision of my life. A spacious Victorian with tall windows, intricate woodwork, and a price so low it felt criminal. The realtor had shrugged off my questions about why it sat empty for so long. "Old houses have stories," she said. "People make things up." The first night was uneventful. I unpacked some boxes, drank a beer on the porch, and convinced myself the creaks and groans were simply the house settling. But by the second night, things began to change. It started with a tapping sound, faint at first, almost like rain against the glass. Except it was a clear night, stars bright overhead. I ignored it, turned up the TV, but the tapping grew louder, persistent. When I finally worked up the nerve to look out the window, the yard was empty. No branches, no loose shutters, nothing. By the third night, the tapping had stopped. It was replaced by whispers, soft, sibilant voices drifting through the halls. I couldn't make out the words, only the cadence, a low, urgent hush that made the hair on my arms stand up. Sometimes I'd catch it right behind me. I'd turn around, heart hammering, but there was never anyone there. On the fifth night, I woke at 3 a.m. to an icy chill. My breath puffed out in small white clouds, though it was the middle of summer. The bedroom window stood open. I was sure I'd locked it. That's when I noticed the shape on the lawn. A girl, maybe 12 or 13, standing barefoot in the grass, her white nightgown billowing slightly in the warm breeze. Even from upstairs, I could see her hair was long and tangled, hanging like a dark curtain around her face. I blinked, and she was gone, just vanished. At midnight, I was jolted awake by a sharp crash. My heart raced as I stumbled through the dark, flipping on lights. In the kitchen, I found a cabinet door ripped off its hinges, plates shattered on the floor. In the quiet that followed, I heard it again, a sob, high and fragile. It drifted down the hall like a ribbon of cold air. The room was empty, but the sobbing grew louder, curling into my ears, wrapping icy fingers around my spine. Then it stopped, silence so deep it roared. That's when I saw the mirror. My reflection stared back, wide-eyed, breathless, but just behind me, standing in the doorway, was the girl. I spun around, no one there. When I looked back at the mirror, she was gone. From that night on, she haunted every shadow. I'd catch glimpses of her in the hallway mirrors, the glass of the oven door, even in the darkened screens of my unplugged TV. One evening, desperate for answers, I went to the local library. I found an article from 1987. A girl had disappeared from this house, vanished without a trace. The paper printed a grainy photo, long dark hair, solemn eyes, white nightgown. Last night, it all came to a head. I awoke to find the living room bathed in a bluish glow. Slowly, I climbed the stairs. When I reached the landing, I saw her. The girl stood by the window, her back to me, hair spilling down her shoulders. She turned, face pale, eyes hollow, and beckoned. That's when I saw it. In the yard below, someone stood staring up at us, tall, with disheveled hair and a hollow, frightened expression. Even from here, I could see the tears on his face. It was me. Now I sit here by the window, watching the empty lawn, waiting. Sometimes, in the dead of night, I see someone down below. He stands where I once stood, looking up with wide, terrified eyes. And I wonder, just for a moment, did I ever really move in at all?